What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the Dreamloud podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Covenant Eyes, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But first, I have a very good friend of mine, Dillon Dupre, on today's episode. He is a musician. He loves movies and music, and we talk a lot about that in this episode. Very excited and honored to have him on today's podcast. So let's jump into it.
Wait, so what's the point of this podcast? Like, what is the thing with it?
Well, there's not actually a point per se. I look at people like celebrities that have podcasts, and this is actually a good way to start this podcast. I look at celebrities that have their podcasts, and all you hear is celebrities talking about like their celebrity lives, and you know, we as normal people can't really relate to that. So, not to say that you're just some guy.
Basic.
Not to say that you're just some guy, but you know, I want normal people hearing normal people talk, you know. And it's not about like how famous or how big can this podcast get, which like I would love to monetize and like make it a career, cuz I enjoy just sitting down and like you and I have known each other for a couple years, but I enjoy knowing people more and more in depth. So just
I enjoy knowing people more than I know you.
yeah. I want to know other people more than I know you. So, but yeah, that's essentially it. Is I want to like talk to my friends and just, you know, and it's not just I want to just talk to my friends. Like for instance, I have you on today because of your love for music and movies and. Like I had Cadril on last week because he's a business professional. I had Colton on the week before because he's a worship leader.
Right.
And it's stuff that I find interesting, so I'm hoping that other people will find interesting as well. So that's
sweet, man.
That's essentially why. So Dillon is a very dear friend of mine, and he is originally from Texas. He moved up here the first of 3 times about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And you want to you spraying the cat away.
Yeah.
Like
sorry. I was trying to be really casual and keep the spray bottle out of frame, but
so tell us about, you know, why you came to Ohio and
so the first time here's my life the last
the funniest part of this is you had to say this is why I moved to Ohio the first time.
Yeah. Out of 3 times, I think you have to start explaining. Yeah. First time I moved up here, I went through one of the hardest times of my life, and I had lived in a town that's like no one ever gets out of this town. So I was like
the most pop punk town of all.
Yeah, like the most like cliche thing. But so 3 of my like closest friends moved up here, and I moved up here with them. I lived here for like 5 or 6 months. And then I got a call from some friends that were like, hey, we're going to start a band and you've already written on a lot of these songs. Do you want to be in it? And I was like, yeah. So I moved home to be in the band. Then moved to home in Beaumont, Texas, moved to Austin 3 months later. Lived in Austin for 6 months. Then I got called by that same friend that I moved up here with the first time. I was like, hey, come here. Like, just move here again. Yeah. There's like a church that's really great that you could play worship at, and I think you would like really fit in. And I had been to Rivers Crossing, our church. I'd been there.
Sorry,
I was thinking it as you said it. So I came up here, started serving at Rivers Crossing. Yeah. And so that was time number 2. Then I worked for Rivers Crossing briefly, and then I moved home again.
Back to Texas.
Yeah, I was really missing my family. I was living here, and I felt like I was kind of here for no reason. We were living together at this point, and I felt like
not as lovers, as roommates,
just as bubbies. So we moved. So I moved back home, and I lived with my parents at 28 years old, which is really fun. That's the best time to live with your parents, whenever you're a grown man and make your own decisions. But really, no, my parents were great. And then I got engaged to an Ohio girl, a sweet old Ohio girl, and I found that I like loved my family, but I wasn't getting to spend as much time with them as I want. We all have like a lot going on, so we decided to move back up here where there was more opportunity, more like I have more friends that like I would hang out with regularly. So Ohio has really become home. Like I love Texas. Texas is my like hometown, my home state. Yeah, but
it's a big town.
Texas is my hometown.
Have you ever talked before?
I don't know about words.
I go to co-people. Crystalia, shout out.
I feel like Crystalia is what our friendship is like. Yeah. I feel like if you were to like put out like the 5 tenets of our friendships, Crystalia is like for sure one of them.
Oh yeah, for sure. But. So tell the listeners more about this band that you were in.
It's called Luck. The name is ironic because I guess I was going through I was splitting up with someone I've been with for a long time, and they had just gotten back from a tour in their previous band, and they had to like basically restart their lives. I was restarting my life. Like we all it was me and my 2 best friends, and we're like, man, I don't like what do we do from here? Right. So I ended up living on a futon in their living room for the first like 6 months that we were a band, and we wrote a lot of music, and it seemed like we were doing really well, and but I ended up moving up here because I just didn't want to be in that hometown. As much as I loved my friends, I just didn't want to be there anymore. And so eventually I moved up here, and they called me and they're like, hey, we've got these songs done, like we're ready to go. So I moved home, and we wrote a lot of songs that are some of my favorite songs, and they mean more to me than any other music I've ever done. Like I've done a lot of music that's like it's got meaning to me. Like my first band that I was in like had a lot of meaning to me, but like that was a fun band to do when I was 18 to 21. But like whenever you start a band at 26 as opposed to 18, you get a lot more. You have a lot more life experience.
That's what I was gonna say. Like I joined A Liar's Eyes when I was 19, which I'm not in the band anymore. But I joined them when I was 19, and like we did some writing, and it was like that was like one of the most fun times of my life. But I feel like if it would just be and they would even say the same thing with the songs that they're writing now, because they're putting out 4 albums. Like they recorded 20 songs, and they're putting 4 albums out with 5 songs each on. Yeah. And like to listen to the writing from then to now, it's like the words in the songs like resonate more. Right. So
yeah, I mean, I think the fact that we were in that stage of our lives where we were like, man, I mean it when I say I was living on a futon. We were spending every day working as like waiters to just to pay the bills, not even to like progress ourselves in life, but just to pay the bills. So we were all in like these like we were all on like the tail end of like very tumultuous relationships that like were like really
tumultuous. That's a big word, Dilly.
Yeah, dude, I have a big vocabulary. Hey, Google, what is... I don't think Google's out here anymore. I think we've moved Google. Oh, she's out here. Okay. But anyway, yeah, so we were like, okay, how are we going to... we're like... Sorry. Stop! Gosh, that threw me off. Anyway. Tumultuous. We just... Like we used music to like get us through that. Like it was, I mean, that's like so cliche and so like annoying to say, but like those songs, like if you listen to them, like especially our single that we released, Highway Lights, is like, I mean, we released it like years ago now. I'm not like pushing it. Yeah. But, I'm not
go listen to my band.
I'm not pushing a band that I haven't been in 2 years. But that song specifically, me and the lead singer Lewis wrote together, and it's got like. The whole song is a ode to how like horrible things were in our lives, but we used music, and now they're my best friends. We have matching tattoos. We play video games together every single night because they're in Austin. I'm up here in Ohio, but we still talk super often. Like
Yeah.
they're like my closest friends. So
For sure.
I mean, like kind of forged in the fire, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, you know?
It's crazy how like, I mean, similarly, you and like our friend Jake have become
Yeah.
that way for like Jake moved home like right when they had their baby for a period of time, which he's back now,
Mm-hmm.
and you moved home like 7 times.
fair.
But like you got like even if you were still in Texas, you would still be like
Yeah.
because like you and I live together, and Jake and I have become very good friends, and not to be too mushy, but like you guys have just become more like brothers than
Yeah.
friends, and like just like your peeps back in Texas,
Yeah, dude.
I remember you telling me like about that big party you guys had where a bunch of your friends came like to see you whenever you went back to Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And like obviously family is like important, but like friends just hits in a different way.
Yeah.
So
I think that something that a lot of people don't realize, like, so like after my last like bad relationship, I was in therapy. I'm also a huge like, it's not like I think that people are like, oh, you're crazy, you go to therapy, but like therapy is like, I mean,
so helpful.
Like me and you, like we were living together while I was going to therapy regularly, and like I was going to therapy, and one of the things that my therapist told me was like, all of these people that you've dated in the past, not to like say anything negative about them, I don't want to talk bad about any of them, but like they don't have any like lifelong friendships.
Yeah.
So whenever I started looking for the next girl that I would like be interested in, the next girl I was going to date, I wanted someone who had that.
Yeah.
Because it shows that someone knows how to like can maintain a relationship for a long time.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So like I look at my friends. I've been friends with Jake since we were 15, 16.
Yeah.
And we're both 28, 27 now. You know, like, so we, like, the ability to maintain those long relationships. And that's, like, I don't really have a lot of people that I was friends with that I'm not friends with now.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that that's, like,
yeah.
That's how, like, I go home to Texas and have, like, a bunch of friends come and hang out with me. Not to say that I'm, like, popular, but, like, if you just are, like...
You're so popular.
I just mean that, like, the importance of, like, persevering even when things like are not great in friendships, like,
and it's crazy, like even in those friendships, like you do have hard times like you would have in a relationship,
right?
So
I
mean, not
like,
me and you because we but because we're
it's like one of, like, even like me and you, I can't really think of any times that like we've had like a tension, but like if you think of like me and Jake have had times where we were both just like, what is happening? But why are we not like meshing right now? Or me and Kelly, Jake's wife, who's also one of my best friends, like we've had moments like that, but like
we're just annoyed at each other.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I think that people tend to like throw in the towel on relationships, but that's like not to like we just dove in, but like I think that like I cherish that there's a like a I hate country music. You know this about me.
Same.
I hate it. But there's this country music song, and I could not tell you who sings it. I heard it a long time ago, but it says like you can't make old friends. Like you can't be like me and you, like as close as we are now after years. Like we couldn't have that if we met today. Like we would have that excitement of that NRE, that new relationship energy. You know what I mean? Like we'd have that new friendship. But like there's something about like me and you being like, dude, do you remember when we used to go to Kroger at like 11 o'clock at night and buy 3 bags of pizza rolls and make them all and get fat and fall asleep on the couch? Like
yes,
you
separate couches. Well, it was the same couch, but in separate areas.
L-shaped couch with our heads next to each other. We shared a pillow. It was really sweet. That's probably not true, but like you can't. That's like not exchangeable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like that's like there are definitely people in my life where I'm like, where that relationship is like not great right now. But I know that the second I see them, we both will forget any tension that's
almost like
and
none
just
of
give
that.
a hug. Yeah, like it just like you value the person over winning whatever argument or whatever pride you might get.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I have like lifelong friends like that too, where not that there's like any tension right now, but like I don't know if you've ever met Blaine, my friend Blaine. But he he's like, he and I have been friends for a long, like, I don't even know how many years, like 12 years. We like shared a locker freshman year because like my locker was on the other side of.
That's true intimate friendship.
Yeah, and, like we shared a locker because like my locker was on the other side of the school, but his locker was by like a majority of my classes. And I mean, so I'm 26 now, so like 12 years we've been friends.
Right.
And then like my friend RJ, who he just got married, and like I haven't seen him in probably almost a year, but there are those friendships where like if he were to like come over and like hang out, it would be like I just saw him yesterday.
You pick up right where you left off. Yeah.
I think one of my favorite stories about like me, you, and Jake is whenever you moved back the second time, what happened to Jake? Do you remember what happened to Jake?
Oh, when Jake shaved his head and ruined. This is one of my favorite stories. So Jake has been my like best friend. Like people like when you think of Jake, you think of me, and I think vice versa for a lot of people. Like we've just been best. Like we moved. We're the only Texas boys here in Ohio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, I'm sure there's other guys, but they're not boys like me and Jake. But like Jake and I and his wife were going to New Orleans to go watch a Saints game. We're all big Saints fans. So I'm pulling into town with everything I own in my Ford Focus. And I called Jake. I'm like, dude, I'm driving through the city right now. I'm finally in town. I'm 10 minutes away from your house. And he's like, you're gonna make fun of me. And I was like, I mean, I know, but why this time? And he was like, I dropped the razor on my head. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I shaved my head. I'm like, okay, there was like a step in between there. You didn't drop the razor on your head and then you were just shaved, bald. Like, so, but we all went to New Orleans that trip, and like all of the pictures look bad. And we always make jokes about like that time Jake ruined our vacation by shaving his head.
Yeah. But, and like, obviously we probably sound like jerks for making fun of our friend, but like, that's the kind of friendship that the three of us have. Is like when we're together, we just like when we're playing video games or just like even hanging out and like making pizza rolls or whatever.
Right.
We just roast each other the entire time, but it's not like we're being mean. The three of us like understand that we're being loving.
I think that's how a lot of guys' friendships are. Yeah. But I also like there have been times in my life where I'm like, oh, like I don't want to disparage my friends because I don't want to knock them down, but like we do it in a way that it's like it shows like vulnerability to each other, you know what I mean? Not to like sink into like the psychology of it, but like we do it in a way that's like we're like, I'll be vulnerable to you if you be vulnerable to me, and we can like we also are all self-deprecating. Like we make the same jokes. Like if one of us is bad at a video game, we'll be like, I'm sorry guys, I understand that I am worthless at this game. Like, and like it's like stupid jokes.
It's almost like the closer you are to someone, the meaner the jokes get.
The more you can actually make fun of their like deepest insecurities.
And it's like,
but it calls it out to where like you feel safe. You know what I mean? Like you're like, hey, you freaking like idiot. Like you clumsy idiot. You know what I mean? But like
Dillon is famous for spilling things on himself. In fact, some would call him Spillin' Dillon. Yeah. And like those like, even though he might do it and like actually feel like a moron, we'll like make fun of him and make him feel like more of a moron. But like,
it's comforting though.
If other people were around, they would be like, why are you being so cruel to him? Right. You know, like if new people are around, but it's like, no, you don't get it.
Well, also just like, it's that thing where it's like, you guys can make fun of me. Like this random person can't. Yeah. But also like,
and if they do, we don't kill them.
We hit them?
No.
But we
I like that nod that you gave me.
Okay. You don't hit them. Maybe I hit them. But no, we like I think that there's also like the flip side of that, like because if it's all just being negative all the time, like it's really easy to like feel distant or feel like even just feel like alienated. But like it's in those moments in between where
you have to like read the room, right? Essentially.
Well, and like when we walk up to each other, it's like, hey, like Bubby, hey, like sweet name, like hey, let me like give you a big hug, like I love you, like, and I think that that's like something that like I've always had with my friends, that even like in high school, people be like, like it's not okay the way you like hug your friends and like will like just like lay your head on their shoulder. But like, dude, I would rather have a friendship where I lay my head on my friend's shoulder while we're watching a movie just to be like a goober.
Yeah.
Than be the kind of guy that's like, hey, bro.
Yeah.
Keep your distance.
Well, yeah. But at that point, we're like family.
Yeah.
Like whenever
we're brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When I see you, like, it's not like just a quick hug. You know, it's like
right.
This might just come across as like super weird, but like I like embrace you as like my brother. Just like when I see my actual brother, like I will like give him like a big hug.
Well, like it even goes back to like the Bible, like greet each other with a brotherly kiss. You know what I mean? Like
we don't kiss often
sometimes. But no, like that's like I cherish that about my friendships so much more. And if I feel like I can't do that, it really keeps me from that level of closeness with that person. Like I'm like, okay, well, I guess like you don't like. I guess we'll never get to that point. Like, but like
the same thing as far as like roasting each other and whatnot. Like I do that with my actual brothers, like my blood brothers. We like are absolutely cruel to each other, and my mom will like we'll be like saying like very mean things. Like I know I'm not like huge, but like I've always struggled with like being in shape and everything, and my brother will like call me fat and stuff, and my mom is like, Logan, be nice. And it's like I'm like, Mom, shut up, let him roast me, because
I got this. Okay.
And I think like you just like know, I don't know if it's a guy thing or like our personality type thing, but like you know when it goes too far,
right?
And like
when you know that line to not push it past it.
Yeah. So,
but we also hype each other up when it matters. Yeah. So whenever I went to go meet my now fiance, all of my pairs of jeans were ripped. Not like ripped like this, ripped like this, like a huge hole that you can't wear.
Yeah.
And I remember going and being like, Jeff, I need your stretchiest, like best looking pair of jeans. And you were like, oh, all right, here, let's see what I can find. So Jeff comes out and gives me his jeans, and I'm like, this girl's like so cute. I'm really gonna blow it. Like there's no way. And I like hadn't been on a first date in a long time. So, but like I'm like going to leave, and Jeff is like in the middle of getting ready for work. He's got his own thing going on, but he took the time and was like, hey dude, like I love you. You're really gonna do a good job. And gave me a big hug and was like seriously, like you're a good guy. You're going to like you have nothing to be worried about. You look great. Like you got this. And sure enough, like I went into that date with more confidence because of knowing like the support that like even if it didn't go great, I could come home and I like could sit around and eat pizza and play video games with my best friend, and like that kind of confidence is like something you don't get if you don't have those lifelong friendships.
Yeah,
you know
exactly. I mean? Yeah. And I mean, like I could have told you look awful, and it still probably would have meant like the exact same thing.
You could have been like, hey dude, those jeans
do not fit you very well.
Those jeans do not fit you great.
Those are not flattering on your butt at all.
But like you're doing your best.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well I'll try.
Don't wear a light shirt because you're gonna spill something on yourself.
Dude, sure enough, for the Christmas party, it's like the day that we're official. We're like making official. She's introducing me to her coworkers as her boyfriend and stuff. We're walking around and there's these. It's a Christmas party, so there's these little tiny cups like this big, and it's a brownie with chocolate pudding on top and a candy cane stuck in it, and I am like, oh. So I grab one. Just my fiance grabs one, and she like finds the spoons that are sitting right next to it, little tiny like taster spoons, and I instead take the candy cane out, like lick it clean, turn it over, and I'm using the like hook part to eat it, and I'm wearing like a light gray button up under a blazer, so I'm like eating it, and it's funny because Justine had just met my two best friends, Jake and Kelly, and she was like. And they told her, they were like, hey, he's gonna spill on himself at this party. So I'm not kidding, within 10 minutes of walking in, I'm meeting all of her coworkers, I'm eating using a candy cane as a utensil, and I spill it not on like not like here where I can cover it with a blazer, but like directly in the middle of my shirt, and it's chocolate pudding on this like light gray shirt.
Thing I've ever
and I was like,
heard.
well, this is. She looks at me and we're like, we'd only been together for like a month at that point. She's like, oh my gosh, I cannot, like, it's too real. Like, it's too true how much you spill on yourself.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite, this is like kind of on topic, but not on topic. I think one of my favorite like pastimes with you is when we would DoorDash just McFlurries.
Dude.
Like we would order on, because at the time.
Uber
Uber Eats.
Eats.
Yeah. Because Uber Eats had like no delivery fee on McDonald's.
Right.
So like, I would say probably like 20 to 25 times we ordered.
In a month.
Yeah. We ordered like 2 Oreo McFlurries with hot fudge, like 20 times probably on DoorDash.
Like,
that's like the most, like.
Is there a lazier, more like chubby boy thing to do than to be like, I don't want to leave. I just want you to bring me a McFlurry.
Yeah.
Like
that is my memory with you. And like my thing with Jake is like pizza rolls and Coke Zero. I don't know why, but like not like you don't dip them.
It sounds like heartburn.
Yeah.
That's all it sounds
like.
like.
It always was. But like, I don't know. That's like the thing that makes me think of Jake. So as I said at the beginning of this episode, this podcast is sponsored by Covenant Eyes. Covenant Eyes is about restoring human connection to help you live a life of freedom. Covenant Eyes is designed to help you and your loved ones live free from pornography. They have exceptional tech support, and they make it very easy by giving one report for all devices. I have Covenant Eyes on my phone and all of my computers and devices, and it has helped me get free from my addiction, and it's helping tens of thousands of people get recovery. I personally would not have a sponsor for a company that I don't believe in, and I fully believe in Covenant Eyes and their mission. Check the link in the description to sign up and use my code DREAMLOUD for 30 days free of service. This podcast is also sponsored by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's completely free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Anchor is what I've been using for my podcast from the very beginning. It makes it very easy to upload one file and it completely distributes to every platform. It's so easy to use. I mean, I'm pretty technical, but I would say for anybody that's not very technical, if you make your recordings, you can upload it easy. You literally drag and drop the file onto their website. It takes a couple minutes to upload. You name your podcast, and then within a couple hours, it's on every listening platform. So I would highly recommend, if you're wanting to start a podcast, check out Anchor. So now that we're about halfway through and we've talked about bromances for essentially the whole time, the real reason that I wanted you on in particular is because of your love for music and movies. Mm-hmm. And I would say that you're the kind of person that if I was feeling a certain type of way and I was like, hey Dylan, I need you to recommend a song based on how I'm feeling to make me feel better, you could oh, here's a list of 3, you know?
Yeah.
So
I have a playlist for every emotion.
I would say some of the most listened to songs that I have on my Apple Music is the best pop punks playlist that you made 2 years ago.
You know, I still I use that, that's what I listen to more than anything.
Yeah. It has a lot of legendary tunes on there.
Is it the singles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do all my playlists in albums and singles because most people don't want to listen to my top 50 pop punk albums with 10 to 20 songs on each one, you know. But the singles one is my favorite. That one actually has subscribers to it that I don't know, which is not a lot, a handful. But every time I get a subscriber to it, I'm like, wow, I truly am a master DJ.
Master DJ, dude. Why don't you just start being a DJ?
Just start
honestly.
being a
Like
pop punk DJ.
go to
The most
weddings.
niche market on the planet.
Yeah, go to weddings, and when they like say, "Here's a list of songs we want," you're like, "No, I've got this."
No, instead I just play like I'll paint you a picture. I'll just play like neck deep as loud as possible.
That's amazing. And then music is obviously an important part of both of our lives. From the bands that we've been in to like worship music and everything like that. And I was actually talking to my friend Colton about like how worship music has like influenced some bands and vice versa, like the band Camino, for instance, which you actually showed me the band Camino.
Yeah, they're like
I don't know if you remember.
They're
that.
my favorite band of like the last few years.
Yeah, the first band that I remember, I walked into like the living room at our old place, and you were like, "Hey, I want you to listen to this song."
What was it? My Thoughts on You.
Berenstein.
Oh, Berenstein. Oh yeah, because it's got that. It's got that 7/8 bridge.
Well, you were like, "What? Can you tell me what like
time signature?
Signature this is?"
Yeah, it took me a lot of processing to figure it out.
Yeah. And they're like one of my favorite bands of all time now.
Yeah.
So,
dude, especially their most recent album.
Yeah.
They're like, it's crazy. They went on tour with a band called The Dangerous Summer, which is probably one of my like lifelong favorite bands. Like, I don't really like the stuff they're making now, but whenever their first like 3 albums are like some of my favorite albums. But like, they went on tour in support of them, and I was like, man, I guess I'll go listen to them. Like, that's like the best way to find new music, in my opinion, is being like, who is touring with my favorite bands? Because my favorite bands take influence from these other bands. You know what I mean? So they went on tour with The Dangerous Summer, which is weird because they're super different styles of music. And then now they're on tour with, or they would be on tour with Dan and Shay. Like,
the band Camino?
Yeah. Like, how do you... That's
a weird, like...
Well, it's like... But that's like... I think that's how modern... That's how people listen to music now. Like, yes, you and I are like alternative music guys. Like, we like our heavy stuff and our pop punk. But like I could also like play a song by Dan and Shay, a song by the band Camino, a song by Knuckle Puck, a song by Michael Bublé, and like people.
I like how you went from Knuckle Puck to Michael Bublé.
That's what I'm saying though. Like, that's how people listen to music now. They'll be like, oh, this is this new like Drake song into a Knuckle Puck song into a Posty song. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, people don't listen, like, and I think that's why, sorry Dad, who has worked in radio his whole life, I think that's why radio is going downhill so much, because like I'm not gonna go listen to Top 40 because they're gonna play nothing but like these
I honestly
songs.
can't tell you the last time I listened to actual FM radio.
Yeah, I mean, like I'll listen to sports radio, but I can't imagine with the capability of like grabbing my phone and hitting my like Apple Music radio station. Like, I can't imagine I can't imagine choosing to listen to something that I don't want to listen to.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, I feel like half the time when I was listening to FM radio, it was like a song would come on that I like didn't care for, so I would skip to another station.
Right.
I wouldn't like listen through a song that I didn't like.
Right.
To get to the next song.
Well, it's like for you and I, we might like 1 out of every 10 songs that's played on the radio. And that's not to be like, oh, we're hip.
Yeah.
But like it's true for us. You know what I mean? Like we'll be like, oh, I like, for example, I have this like new thing that I've realized about myself where I won't listen to songs that are on the radio because I know that I'll get just oversaturated with them. Like that new Jonas Brothers song, Sucker. I like that song. I think it's super catchy. I know every word to it, but it's not in my Apple Music library because I hear it. I know that I'm going to hear it enough, and I'm gonna get burned out on it from walking into a Walgreens and hearing it.
Absolutely.
You know, I hear it constantly.
Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't listen to radio. Honestly, I would say I only listen to music like 30% of the time now. Anyway, I'm like always listening, especially as I've been like putting this together.
Yeah,
I've been listening to podcasts a lot to try to figure out like how to structure this.
Right.
But this is kind of weird, but I've been listening to, and then I like stand up too. So like when I'm driving back and forth from Columbus to Cincinnati, I'll listen. Like with Netflix, you can like close out of the app and then hit play, like swipe down and hit play, and it'll like play the stand up in the background.
Right.
I've also been like listening to movie commentary when I drive.
Yeah.
Like I've been listening. I'm probably like an hour into Avengers Endgame, and I'll just like listen to it in the background while.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just like a weird like goofy thing that I'm into right now, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like it's not far. Like I listen to movie scores, and I'll like while I used to drive for Amazon. So when I would drive for Amazon, I would listen to like movie scores while I would do it, and I would just find that it like would push me through 2 hours of work.
Yeah. And
I'd be like, wow, like.
Well, that's why I do the commentary, because like a lot of them are movies like Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd.
Yeah. You have a Star Wars tattoo.
I have the Jedi symbol on my leg. You can see, which I talked to Colton.
He was born with that.
That's actually a birthmark. It's not a tattoo. But like I always loved watching like the behind the scenes of all of those movies. So like the commentary was on all of them. But yeah, I mean that's why a movie like Avengers Infinity War, I could like when I was driving for DoorDash, I could listen to that, and that would be like 2 hours of the 5 or 6 hours that I was driving a day.
Yeah.
And it just makes it go by quickly.
It is like very, it's like comforting to like I like feeling like I'm in the room with people that are like experts on things. So like, for example, like listening to a movie commentary, like, for example, like if I were to sit down with like Damien Chazelle, who's the director of my favorite movies, like several of my favorite movies. He directed La La Land and Whiplash and First Man. He's like my favorite director. But if I were to like be able just to sit there and listen to him talk about those movies, like I feel like I'm literally sitting in the room listening to a master of his craft, like talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, also, quick side note. Hey, Apple.
Oh, no.
This is my own irresponsibility. Make the AirPods a little more water resistant, because whenever you leave them in your pocket and you wash them, you can't use them anymore.
I washed my AirPods that you gave me. Can we just take a moment to say thank you, Jeff, for your AirPods? Thank you, Jeff. Jeff gave me AirPods, and I've washed them 3 times. And now to get them to work, I have to disconnect them from my phone. Like go into my Bluetooth settings, disconnect, plug them in to an Apple to a charger, open the lid, hold the button on the back, pull the right one out, and then it will connect the right one. And then I put the left one in, and about 10-15 minutes later, it'll finally connect my left one.
I've washed mine twice, and that's exactly what happens with mine as well.
It's very crazy.
So Apple, fix it.
Help us. We're not responsible enough for how expensive your AirPods are.
Yeah. Have you like tried out the AirPods Pro at all?
No.
The Pro AirPod, whatever they're called.
No, I got Raycons. I cheaped out.
Oh, really?
But I like my
Aren't they
Raycons.
like the Apple AirPod alternative?
Yeah, I mean they're made by Ray J. I don't know if he's a rapper or singer. I've never listened to Ray J. But
hey,
like,
Raycon, if you want to sponsor, I know you sponsor some podcasts.
They also sponsor like 90% of every YouTube video that's ever been monetized.
Really?
Yeah, that's how I found them. But I paid like I got them for Christmas, but I think my fiance paid like $65 for them, and they're nice. Like they have more functionality than AirPods. I think the sound quality might be less, and also like you can't. One of the things that I love about AirPods is like when you take them out of your ear, it pauses it.
Yeah.
But like Raycons, like are also inner ear, like they go into your ear. But they're great.
I mean, like obviously sound quality is important, but like when I'm like driving and I just have, or like when I'm walking through the grocery store and I just need something in my ear, sound quality isn't like that important.
Well, that's that's kind of how long do you really listen with the function of AirPods? Like, yes, it's nice to have sound quality, but like that's not what should be, like, in my opinion. Unless you're using that, like you should never use them to mix. You should never use them for like you want to watch movies and stuff. You're traveling. If you travel a lot, I feel like it makes sense to like have the highest sound quality. But like,
I would rather them spend less money on sound quality and more on
functionality and waterproofing.
Like waterproofing, personally. But maybe one day. Also, I just should be more responsible and
when I was working for a restaurant.
Leave them in my pocket.
I was working for a restaurant. I was shelving, which just means like basically putting everything on the tray to make sure that it goes out and it has all the condiments and everything you need. And someone walked up to me, and I went I took my AirPod out and I went to put it in my pocket, but I realized I was wearing an apron, so I dropped it and it went straight into the cocktail sauce.
Oh,
so in the middle of a dinner rush, I had to not only panic and freak out and like clean off my AirPod without soaking it, I also had to go dump cocktail sauce, like throw it out because I can't serve earwax cocktail sauce.
Why? Oh, there's someone here.
Hold on.
Please hold. I'm not sure what's happening right now. They knocked and said, "Let me in."
This podcast is sponsored by Shutterfly.
No, no, it is not.
That's not true. They could. Shutterfly, come get your money.
That's funny. So we've had Google interrupt us. I've
had to spray a cat.
I'm pretty sure I heard "Let me in" by that person. But
that's how I'm knocking on any door forever.
All right.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
AirPods.
AirPods.
Earwax cocktail sauce.
Earwax cocktail sauce. Name of the episode.
Yes, that is true. That should be the name. So kind of transitioning into like we've talked about music. Let's talk about movies.
Okay.
My movie preference is like weird because I like Star Wars, obviously. I like action movies. Like Laura, my fiance, and I are watching through all the Marvel movies right now because I want her to see Endgame. She hasn't seen it yet, but like I'm like,
you need the context
yeah. of like everything that happened because there's a lot of stuff in that movie that comes from previous stuff.
I mean, like, and you could get it without it, but
yeah,
it's like to truly appreciate it, you need all of it.
She's also like, if we didn't have all the context, she would be asking me the entire time questions about it.
Right.
Which, I mean, she knows she does that. So if she's listening, she just knows.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's like my preference. And then also, like, I love more action movies, but like comedies, like not even like rom-com necessarily, but like Step Brothers and Talladega Nights, which I just named 2 Will Ferrell movies, but he's a funny guy. That's like.
Do you remember when we went and watched Skyscraper with
Oh my God.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
Yes, I do.
I don't know why I remember that so vividly. I think I vividly remember that because of how bad that movie was.
What was that movie that we went to see? Was that the movie we saw together?
We saw Rampage together also. Why do we own... It's like we exclusively go see The Rock movies.
Yeah. Well, we also saw... was it Fast and Furious or Hobbs and Shaw? With like Mitch and...
Maybe. No, that was Mission Impossible Fallout.
Oh, that's right.
I hate action movies. It's so funny. Like, these are the kind of things that you do when your roommate loves something and you're like, okay.
Yeah. But we also had movie passes and we were like, what can we... like?
Well, we live 4 minutes from a theater.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So what, like, you have a little bit of different music taste than what I have.
Music or movie? Movie.
You have a little bit different of movie taste. You have a little bit different movie taste than what I have.
Yeah. I like, there's a lot of movies like that you love that I'm like, oh, and there's a lot of movies that I love. You're like, this is boring.
Yeah.
But like, I think Marvel is our centric point where we're like, okay, because I like
Star Wars
too. Yeah. Like,
but more so Marvel probably.
Yeah. Well, like either of those or like anything like sci-fi, you and I will both like get into together. Mm-hmm. It's like your action taste and my like indie rom-com tastes are two different.
Yeah.
Like we're like we would never watch those things together. We have.
Yes.
But we
wouldn't though.
Crap all over them.
Yes.
But No, I mean like, especially I've grown to love Marvel movies more because I started reading comic books.
Yeah. How many comics do you have?
I've bought like between 3 and 6 every week for over a year. Hey Google, what's 3 times 52?
The answer is 156.
I definitely could have done that math.
Yeah,
math is pretty
I
basic.
was gonna say it, but I wanted to let you have your little victory.
Yeah, I just wanted to show off that I have a tech home.
Yeah. I mean, when you walk into my house, I say, "Hey Google," or "Hey Alexa, lights on," and all the lights come on, and then I can say, "Hey Alexa, set the mood for Netflix," and my lights dim to 10%, and then Netflix pops up. My TV turns on, and Netflix pops up.
That's why my home is like this. I have smart bulbs too because of you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, everything
Nice.
is smart bulbs, which
Nice.
it's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice. I don't know why I said that like Borat.
It's nice.
But no, like the functionality of like having a smart home is like so much better. We have one light bulb that's not a smart bulb, and it drives me insane to have to open the closet door to turn the closet light off. I'm like, ugh, looking like a peasant.
That's so funny. It's crazy how I want to talk more about movies and stuff, but it's crazy how like technology is just taking us over.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can't imagine going through this quarantine without the technology that I have.
Yeah.
Not like the smart home stuff, like that's fine.
Yeah.
But like even just like having a PlayStation and a phone.
Yeah.
And like the ability to connect with people. Like my family has kind of like gone through it with the coronavirus and stuff, and like, but being able to like FaceTime my dad every few days and FaceTime my sister and my nephew, like I have a nephew that's over 1,000 miles away. It's his first birthday in a week, and I'm getting to go see him. But like, if I couldn't, I still get to like be there because of it, which is nice.
Well, it's crazy how like Zoom has like really taken off, because like I was saying this a couple weeks ago, but I never had heard of Zoom until all of this, and I'm like, it's weird how this thing popped up,
right?
You know, but it's like Laura, my fiance, she works at a church, and they like every day at 9:00 have a Zoom like conference, because they haven't been able to meet in person. So it's, you know, like you said, it's crazy how our lives, although things have changed a little bit, they've still been able to go on,
right?
Because of like the technology that we have.
That's why like the people that are, and I'm not saying that like this is fun, but like the people that are acting like it's like oppressive to be stuck, I'm like, this was life for everyone before cars existed. Like,
exactly.
You just had to stay, like, you could go outside and do stuff. You could like go into town to get groceries, but like it's to act like we're like just left in the,
it's kind of bittersweet,
right? You
know, but I feel like it's gonna be weird getting back to normal after all of this.
I mean, I had tickets to a music festival this summer, a concert in a smaller venue this summer. I had tickets to 3 baseball games and tickets to a basketball game. Like, I don't know when the next time I'll be able to go do any of those things. You know what I mean? Like, when's the next time you'll be able to go to a crowded music venue?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I haven't been on vacation in almost 10 years. And so my family had planned a Florida trip, and Laura's family had planned a Hawaii trip, and it just happened that they were like back to back.
Right.
So I was going to go on vacation for 3 weeks. I was going to go to Hawaii for 2 weeks, and then fly from Hawaii to California and California to Florida, and then spend a week in Florida with my family. And like, I haven't taken a vacation in 9 years, and of course, like, I have this beautiful vacation plan, and then Corona like screwed the pooch, you know.
I get it. Both of us are like in a kind of like similar situation in that we both had plans to propose and get engaged in the middle of this. But everything got shut down on like, I think the Wednesday or Thursday of the week that I was proposing, on a Friday.
Yeah.
So like I'm sitting here, I have these plans. I've got all of my fiance's friends and her family involved. We're all going to go to this one place, like, and then like we were going to go to a karaoke bar after and just like sing karaoke and celebrate being engaged and my fiance's birthday. So not only did my fiance not get her birthday party, but I had to completely rearrange my engagement plans, and I'm sure you did too.
Well, I had ordered the ring like a week or two into like things really starting to shut down.
Right.
But I'm fortunate enough because she told me that when I proposed that she didn't want a lot of people around.
Right.
So like I wasn't going to do it at like a restaurant or anything anyway.
Right.
But I actually, if I know we have, only maybe about 15 more minutes before you have to jump off, but I want to tell the story of how I proposed real quick.
Yeah.
And it's super kind of intricate. So my now fiance is the smart, like, I'm not trying to be like cute or romantic or anything. She's legit one of the smartest people I know. And book smarts, but like especially in street smarts.
Mm-hmm.
So if I would have said like, hey, I want you to like get your makeup done and stuff so we can like go to this place,
Right.
she was gonna know that I was gonna propose.
Well, also like how many times are you like, go get your makeup done?
Yeah,
like it's pretty
never.
rare that you would ever suggest that.
Which like she hardly ever wears makeup and she looks amazing always. Love you, babe. And so like I knew that when I proposed, she's also like, she's not a tomboy, but she pretty much wears like leggings and a t-shirt or leggings and a sweatshirt, which is exactly what she was wearing when I proposed everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So one of her best friends has this like chronic illness, and Laura had been telling this friend that she needs to go get an MRI for all of this. So like we like scheduled an MRI, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
So Laura was going to go with this friend to her MRI.
Right.
And they like, before they went to this appointment that actually didn't exist, they went to this park and prayed. And like, as they were like walking through the trails, she like walked to the top of the steps of where this bridge is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there waiting. And it was like a super amazing moment because Laura loves like trails and hiking and all that kind of stuff. So I was able to do it in this like beautiful wooded area. So I like proposed, and then as soon as I proposed, I actually raided her closet for like clothes to have for after I proposed, and then we immediately went and did like an engagement session. So like one of the girl who did the pictures, Jackie, she's an amazing photographer. Let Me Be Photography is her like business name, and we went back to the friend's house who we had scheduled the MRI for, did her makeup, she got dressed, and then we went out and did engagement photos.
That's awesome.
So it was super cool.
Yeah, that's sick, man.
Yeah.
It's when you said you went and raided her closet, I was thinking it's very funny for you to be like, honey, I wore your clothes.
Yeah. No, I raided her closet for her, not for me.
Right.
I want to make that very clear. But yeah, I mean, like I was saying, I'm like fortunate because I didn't have this like big extravagant plan, but I was still able to make it special, and you like still made yours special.
Yeah, it was tricky. Like we've been talking about getting engaged for like a while now, and I like knew she was gonna say yes, but like it was her birthday, and I didn't want to like take the like shine off of her for her birthday. You know what I mean? Like I wanted her to feel celebrated, but I thought like maybe we could knock out like multiple of these like same like maybe I can do like we can do her birthday party, but we can also celebrate her, like we can also celebrate being engaged. So I had this like huge plan for all of her friends. Like she never really gave me any instruction on how she wanted to be proposed to, but I was like, you know what, it would be cool either way to have a photographer there. So there's like this really significant date that her and I went on. We started dating, and like within a month I had made the decision to move back home to Texas, and I had only been dating her for like a few weeks at that point. I was like, and I remember you and this is when I was living with you, I remember being like, dude, like this girl is like incredible. Like I know that I'm moving home, like I have good reasons for moving home, but like I don't want to leave this girl.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, really? Like, that's crazy. Like, it's so early, and we were just inseparable up to that point.
Yeah.
But we, so like she made the decision after only knowing me for about 2.5 months to move to Texas. So we were long distance for 3 months and everything. But one of the last dates we went on before I moved home, we went downtown to Cincinnati to eat, and I found this like really pretty spot with a skyline view behind it. And we went there, and I just remember being like, I know that we're gonna make it. Like, I know that, like, despite all the odds of only knowing each other for like 2.5 months and then having to be long distance for 3 months, like, I know that we're gonna be okay. Like, this is so different than the other relationship I've had. So then we went and saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is the best superhero movie of all time, in my opinion.
It's very good.
So, but like that date was like really significant. I think that was really probably the day that I realized I was in love with her. Not to be like corny. But so when I was proposing, I was like, I want to go to that spot where we like watched the skyline together. And like, so we did, we went in like the middle of a day, and it was just me and her. And we didn't really get to have a big party or anything like that, cause everything was closed. But with the help of some friends, we had like a really nice romantic dinner set up at the apartment. And, it was like still like one thing that I realized that was really great about this marriage is that like, or this like soon to be marriage is like, both of us we're excited about the wedding. Like, we're not really having a wedding or anything, but like we're excited for that day, but we're like way more excited for the marriage afterwards, if that makes sense. Like,
Absolutely.
We're way more excited to be like husband and wife, planning our lives, starting to have kids, like, and all that, like, which I've seen couples that like were super excited, had the wedding, and then as soon as they were married, it was like, oh, what are we supposed to do now? Which is like so.
Well, I feel like a lot of people put a ton of focus on having, as a wedding photographer, a lot of people put focus on having a big wedding, and then like after, like at the end of the day, they're like, okay, now what?
Right.
Whereas like Laura and I, we want something very small, you know, like we want people that are important to us there. But I feel like I don't want to be excited about this big day. Like, obviously that's a special day.
Right.
You're coming together before God and everything. But like, I'm excited about like after that day. Yeah.
And I don't want to like knock people for being excited about their wedding day. You should be.
Yeah.
But like, your excitement for your wedding day, if it's like on a scale of 1 to 100, your excitement for your wedding day should be like an 80, but your excitement for what comes after should be 100. Like, you should be so much more excited for afterwards. And like, I don't mean to like preach to anyone. I just know that like the healthier relationships are the ones that are looking forward to being married, you know?
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I've never been a like flashy person. Like, I'm not look at like my nice clothes or anything. Like, I would say I'm well dressed, but I'm not like super flashy.
Right.
I don't need like a Louis Vuitton belt or like backpack or anything like that.
That's so not us.
Yeah. So I don't need any of that kind of stuff. So I've never been like a huge like flashy person anyway. I'm fine going to a park and like reading the vows, you know, or whatever. So but seeing like, I think with the 20 or so weddings that I've either photographed or filmed, or even the ones that I've just attended as a guest, I like know how I want my day to go, which I know it's about her, but like I know how she tells me like what she wants, and then like I know how we can make it happen through the lens of making the day go by easiest. Because there's like I think the funnest wedding that I've ever shot was an elopement that we did, me and my business partner Tyler, we did in Tennessee, where we went up the day before and we like spent maybe an hour or two with the couple and photographed them in the mountains, like, but with this like amazing scenic view as like the sun was setting and everything, and it was beautiful. And then the next day they had the ceremony at this place called Chapel in the Hollow. The ceremony was like, we got them getting ready and everything, but the ceremony was like 30 minutes.
Right.
But with all the footage we got the day before, and then all the footage we got like around the ceremony, that's his like most viewed film because it was just like raw and intimate, you know. And not to discount any of the other like big weddings at like big cathedrals and like everything at like those weddings are beautiful in their own way, but there's just something more special about like I'm more of like an intimate like person where I think I don't want to like discount like those big weddings, but I think I would I like don't have anything to prove to anybody, I guess is the best way to put it. So I'm fine with something small.
Right. When like even in like if it's like the bride's dream wedding to be like to do like a huge wedding, that's like awesome. Do it. I would say from someone who has been married and divorced, I would say like like that was like fun, but it like you look back at your costs after and you're like, man, so like now that I'm marrying someone who I'm much more compatible with, we look at our marriage like that's coming up as like, hey, let's like get married, but let's just go on an adventure together and spend more of the money on the honeymoon doing something like super fun and exciting, and like rent a camper van, go camp at the Grand Canyon, drive through the mountains. Like, so like I would rather celebrate for like a week and a half with my new wife than spend like a $20,000 wedding nowadays is like a cheap wedding.
Yeah. Well, I think like also as you get further in your life and like more life experience, like if it's your second marriage or just like you're at a later point in your life, that big like beautiful flashy wedding isn't quite as important as you know, like when you're like 21 or 22 and you want like this this like 250 guests and like all that kind of stuff, like that's special. And what we'll probably end up doing is doing like a small intimate wedding, and then later down the road in a couple months after our ceremony do like a big reception. That's
what our plan is. Our plan is really like we're gonna go like we have a wedding plan that we've pretty much decided on, but it's incredibly small. Like almost no one will be there. But then like we want to come home, rent out a room at like a venue, and just literally just hang out and like celebrate with all of our friends.
It's a party. That's what it is.
So like I know this is like we're like rabbit trailing, but like that's if I like that's like my dream, and I think it's yours too. I think we like kind of agree on that.
Yeah, because I would say like it's important to have like the people like my family like see the ceremony, like to all of my friends and like non-immediate family, like I don't care to have you see, and I honestly don't think you really like I don't go to a wedding for the ceremony.
It's also like a graduation. It's like it's like hey, great, I'm really glad you graduated, but I don't necessarily want to sit through 800 kids walking up
exactly
the stage.
And like let's be honest, the fun part about a wedding is the reception, you know. So like that's why we're not going to make people go to like the boring, you know, ceremony. Like that'll be for like parents, grandparents, and siblings, and then the reception will be like our like the rest of the family and friends and stuff. I think like that's like more of the highlight anyway. So
no, I agree. I think that'll like I'm looking forward to celebrating you guys.
I like how we went from music to movies to weddings.
We went from like bro love to music to movies to now actual love.
Yeah. So you like collect comic books? Are they like majorly? Is a majority of them Marvel or?
Yeah. So I read. There are two series that I read that aren't Marvel. It's Rick and Morty, and a series called Wellington, which is from a podcast creator actually, Aaron Mahnke. He has a podcast called Lore. It's like one of the top podcasts for like a long time now. But Wellington is like a comic about the stories that he tells in Lore, which is really interesting. But the rest of them are like all the X-Men series, I'm reading like I'm simultaneously reading like 4 different Spider-Man series, which is fun. It's kind of hard to keep up, but because you have literally 4 different like storylines with the exact same character.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's why Into the Spider-Verse is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
And not probably. It for sure is my favorite Spider-Man. It's
Yeah.
it's my favorite superhero movie because because it's made like a comic book. Like
Yeah.
like when there's like a punch, it says like wham, or
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like, but it's
Or
also, yeah, or like
I like how you
pow.
chose Wham over Pal.
Yeah, I couldn't get to it in my head for some reason, but like the artwork is like super comic
Yeah.
book inspired, which is great. And Miles Morales, like the Miles Morales storyline has been going on for years before. It started off like in the Ultimate Spider-Man, which is like, if you want to read a comic book series, Ultimate Spider-Man is like the one to read.
Yeah.
They're like almost 300 issues, but you can get, it's called Marvel Unlimited. This isn't an ad read, but this is how I got into comics. I was like, hey, I want to read comics. Can you tell me where to start? And a buddy of mine was like, read Ultimate Spider-Man. Like, I know you're a Spider-Man fan. This is the best series of all time. So I just sat there and I read all of them on Marvel Unlimited. It's like $10 a month, but you get, like, you can literally read almost an unlimited amount of comics. But Miles Morales is introduced at the end of the Ultimate Spider-Man series, and that sets up, there's like a few little weird like one-off editions, but if you read through all of those, it sets up Miles Morales to be Miles Morales Spider-Man, which is the current Miles Morales series. I'm nerding out right now.
Yeah.
But all of that like goes into why, like, I think that's why you and I share a connection through Marvel movies, because
Well, I mean, like, I'm not a comic book guy. I never have been
yet.
But I mean, I think I love like the nostalgia of the movies. Like, I grew up with the Marvel movies, you know,
And
like,
also the cartoons when we were kids, you know.
oh yeah, absolutely. And then like Star Wars, you know, Star Wars holds like a huge place in my heart because it was, you know, kind of a rescue from like problems that I had growing up.
Right.
So, I don't know, it's just like, for me, I'm not like a Star Wars nerd because like I'm into like comics or like action figures or anything. I'm mainly into it because it's nostalgic and I don't know, it's just exciting.
Yeah.
For me.
It's interesting. Like, I wonder often if like every generation before us is nostalgic for the things that were big for them when they were kids. You know what I mean? Like, because like we're both 90s kids, so we look back at the 90s and we're like, oh man, like this thing from the 90s, this thing from the 90s, this thing's from like the early 2000s. Like, these are the things that like we look back at and we're like, oh, like I feel like this huge sense of like, this is better than anything else.
I can't obviously read the minds of people that like, you know, are older than us, but I would say a lot happened like technology wise in like late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, I was watching this documentary on the first Star Wars yesterday, and it was talking about how like, even though Jar Jar Binks is like one of the most hated characters of any movie of all time, he was the first like fully CGI character. Like I don't know if you guys know this, but Star Wars is a huge reason why we have a lot of the special effects that are in movies now.
Yeah.
Like the original, so Pixar, who made like Toy Story and a lot of those movies, that like Pixar machine was sold to what is now Pixar from George Lucas.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the effects that are in the old movies are like now why we have like Toy Story and like Finding Nemo and like a lot of those like Pixar movies. But yeah, Jar Jar Binks was the first full digital character in a like regular movie, and now like we have a lot of fully CGI characters, because before that a lot of it was like claymation and that kind of stuff. So
I mean, like,
or like puppets.
I mean, just in general special effects, you know what I mean? Like, not even just like CGI, but just like the way that he shot like ships moving throughout space in the first one, are like some.
If you're at least somewhat interested in Star Wars at all, it's on YouTube and it's on Disney Plus. It's called Empire of Dreams. It's a documentary. It is a little long. It's like 2 hours or 2.5 hours long, but it's about like how George Lucas made the original Star Wars movies.
Do you know the creator of this?
Hmm?
Do you know the creator of this?
Of what?
Don't you know
Empire
someone
Dream?
that made like a Star Wars documentary? Am I making that up?
I think you're thinking of somebody else, but
Oh.
maybe.
Anyway,
I don't think so.
I feel like you would remember if you did, but
Yeah.
you're one of the biggest Star Wars fans I know, so maybe I just associate it with you.
Yeah. I can't like put my finger on what you would be talking about, but
Sorry.
quick
Derailed the crap out of that.
Derailed. But yeah, Empire of Dreams is it's a really cool documentary about the making. And then there's more on YouTube. A lot of my downtime lately, like when I'm editing and stuff, that like I have like documentaries and stuff on in the background. Once again, like the behind the scenes and stuff from all of those movies excite me and like are things that I'm super interested in. So
Right.
but
Yeah, I think that like I was like I took a lot of film classes when I was in college for the short amount of time I was in college, and like since then I've like just studied movies a lot, and like I think that like one thing that you and I can agree on is that like the story in a movie is like the most like crucial point in a story. Like
sure.
like if it's boring, it's like there's no point.
And a lot of those movies, within like the first couple minutes whether it's going to be a train wreck or. And also, like, Chris D'Elia does this kind of bit, and I know we have to get ready to wrap up. Chris D'Elia does this bit where he's like, hey, if you have a movie idea, just tell me the title, and I can tell you if it's going to be a train wreck or not. Like, the movie Cats was an absolute train wreck, and, I mean, I don't know. I didn't see it, but, like,
no.
I could have told, like, I can look at a movie, like, no offense Netflix, but a lot of your, like, Adam Sandler movies and stuff, they're just
which
not
is
good.
Crazy because he was on top of the world for so long. But no, like I don't understand how theaters like put millions of dollars into movies that you're just like, why? Like why did you make that? Like you had to have known. You had to have like the Emoji Movie. Like I love T.J. Miller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but like you had to have known that was like going to crash and burn. Like not even kids liked it. It got like terrible reviews even from like kids that watched it.
Yeah.
So like it's pretty crazy how studios will fund some of the worst ideas on the planet. Yeah. In hopes of making money.
You like I said, you can look at a movie and just be like, why are you making this? But like at the same time, that's how people felt about Star Wars whenever they're like a lot of I was watching a documentary on Netflix called Movies That Made Us, and there's an episode on Home Alone. And like critics were saying, this is going to be a terrible movie. Don't even waste your time.
And now
on
it's
it.
Like a cult
and it's like
icon
exactly,
movie.
It's iconic. So I know you got to jump off here, but I just want to thank you for being on today.
Yeah, dude.
It's been super fun doing this.
For sure.
And
thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And maybe after I make the rounds on a couple people, we can, kind of talk more about stuff that we wanted to talk about and.
Yeah, dude.
Took a lot of time, like rabbit trailing, but once again, it's just our lives that we're talking about, and so, all right. Well, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
As always, thanks to everyone for watching and listening. Episode 1 and 2 is available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you can listen. And also, don't forget to check out my channel, Free Photography Tutorials, where I will take complex photography techniques and make them very, very easy for you to understand. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one.